So, while Cheeto was blaming himself for our loss against the Steelers, Mike Hilton pointed out why we struggled so bad this year, obviously in this last game versus Steelers, but in general versus the AFC North. Because currently we're 0-5, and as long as we beat the Browns the last week of the season, we could go 1-5 or potentially 0-6. Browns are a great team. They, are playing at a very high level. Joe Flacco is playing great for them, etc. So, Mike Hilton talked to reporters after the Steelers loss, and here's what he said about the AFC North and how you have to win the AFC North. He said you win the AFC North through physicality and turnovers. You do those two things, you definitely win the division, Hilton said, according to Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com. That's kind of what happened today. They hit us with some explosive and a couple of turnovers on our side of the 50. We just weren't able to get off the field defensively when we needed to. I would say we just haven't played up to our standards, especially in our own division. And I've said it many times, listen, our division is a very, very tough division. The toughest division out there. If we were in any other division, I feel like we'd be division champions every single year with how we've been playing lately. Not just this year, before Joe went down. Talk about in general the last 3 years under Joe Burrow. But we play in the toughest division in football. It's tough, it's gritty, it's, hard fought. Every team in this division is tough, smash mouth football type teams. They can play all 4 quarters. They're never truly out of any game. And we have to play them 6 times a year. And it's not easy. It's not. And we've definitely struggled with Cleveland, and Cleveland especially since 2017. Pittsburgh's always been our nemesis. Baltimore has always been problems. And it's just how it works, man. And for the longest time, it's the same thing with other teams in our division. The Ravens lost to the Steelers this year. Obviously, you could say the Ravens kind of lost that game themselves. But even before this year, the Ravens has always lost to the Steelers. But look at the last 3 or 4 years. A lot of those games didn't have Lamar Jackson. But it's always been like that. It's always been problems where one team in the division kind of owns another team and destroys that other team. And then we all just have to kind of hobble our way through the season to the playoffs when we kind of just self-destruct each other and destroy each other along the way. And it makes for good football, it does, and that's why I always say the best matchups are AFC North matchups, because you never know what's going to happen. It's 4 quarters of unpredictability, and that's the beauty of it. But again, we haven't been playing up to those standards. And Mike Hilton is right. We definitely need to figure something out next season. Because, listen, this season's not over yet, obviously. We still have a chance to make the playoffs. But it's just like this season, man, our tackling is poor. You can't win the AFC North if you can't tackle anyone on the football field. You can't play the AFC North if you can't play defense. Look at the other 3 teams. Pittsburgh, great defense. Baltimore, amazing defense. Cleveland, probably a top 5 decade defense. That has always been the AFC North, is defense. And we haven't been able to do crap on defense this year. And then offensively, again, biggest problem here. Obviously, yeah, we have no Joe Burrow. It is what it is at the end of the day. But we haven't been able to move the ball when we had Joe Burrow in there. Look at the Seahawks game. Joe was fully healthy. We couldn't move the ball. And that's, again, a little bit of that is how AFC North football is. You go to Pittsburgh, they've had trouble moving the ball with Kenny Pickett, even when he's fully healthy. Baltimore, before this year, they had trouble moving the ball on offense under Greg Roman. Then they go out there and get Todd Monken, and obviously things have changed. And then you look at Cleveland, I feel like when Nick Chubb's not there, they have problems moving the ball. Now, under a new quarterback, things are working out a lot. Now, I know, let me not trash Cleveland. I'm not saying it's a trash Cleveland. I'm saying they're not the most consistent of moving the ball down the field. like, I'm comparing them to the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? I'm comparing them to a high-powered offense that goes right up and down the field every single time. That's not usually how AFC North works. AFC North is usually a low-fought game, a low-scored game, back and forth, field goal game, defense controls most of the game, one fluky play happens, and everything flips on the side of his head, right? And that's what the beauty of it. It's fun to watch because it's painful to watch. And then eventually, we say, wow, we're 0-5 in the division. And it sucks, man. After winning this division the last 2 years in a row, it looked like we could have had a chance to win it this year. And depending on how Baltimore finishes, it's possible that Cleveland wins it. Which is even crazier to say that. Because Baltimore loses to Miami. They lose to the 49ers, Miami, and Pittsburgh. And Cleveland wins out. Which is possible. They play the Jets and they play us. Yeah, they play Jets and play us. They could win the AFC North. So it's a heck of a season, man. I just want Joe back. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I just want Joe back, and hopefully next season we change things around. But it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.